Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do the tarot reading for the 3 months prediction, including December, for Monsta X member Jooheon. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. If I'm not, I'm sorry. But I believe it's Jooheon because I heard the members calling him Joohoni. So I believe that the right pronunciation is Jooheon of the name without the uni, the e at the end. Um, and this is going to be for him, so I'm really excited because I don't think I done an individual and general or personality reading for him. This is my first time connecting to his energy. So I'm really happy to be focusing on him. I remember of him that he's a double Libra, that he's a Libra Sun and Moon. So, and I also wanted to make a clarification about the deepness of these readings because probably, I don't know if you notice, there are some very like deep, and it seems like an emotional aspects in this reading, and it's because of the oracle that I'm using. I'm using the oracle of healing yourself, and usually this oracle tends to go really deep into matters that the person needs to heal, or possibly still like traumas or things from the past that you need to acknowledge and just work on those, almost like facing your shadow self, like the part of yourself that you think that you're over it, but somehow it keeps repeating itself. So this is why sometimes the readings can seem a bit too intense, or probably they can. I noticed, for example, the last one that I did on Stray Kids, Han, that I don't want it to sound depressing. I don't want the reading to sound depressing, but the deck, the tarot and the oracle, both of them work as a way to probably show aspects of himself or his own struggles that probably the fans are not aware of, that he is going through this. And of course that reading wasn't about him being sad or depressed. It was only about frustration, about feeling a bit not comfortable with his circumstances, like him having a real desire about doing something that is not happening right now. So he's a bit frustrated about this. It wasn't a negative reading, but I wanted to mention that since I'm using this deck, and I plan to keep on using this on this series of this week, because I charge the tarot cards, I cleanse them to use them. So if you sense that perhaps the atmosphere of my tarot reading is a bit like too deep, like you are like, oh my god, like what am I listening to, it's because probably I'm touching some very deep emotional subjects that had to do with the individual behind the idol that so you have to take those into consideration. You have to keep an open mind. Of course, like I always say, this is a tarot reading. Don't take it, like, oh, it's the truth. Like, take it like a way that I'm showing it. Take it to, if you resonate with this, and if you're not, if you're like, I don't think that this fits my perception at all, then you can move on. Because I am always doing tarot readings, so it's like I'm not. I don't claim to know the truth, to have the truth. Only they know it. But I'm happy and can connect with them. And if I can provide a very true side of themselves, and show how deep they are, because for me, it would be easier to say, oh, yes, next year they're going to sign five, they're going to release five comebacks, and they're going to earn a lot of money, so everyone's happy, but it seems that the cards want to say something else, they want to express some aspects of the person that probably the person is not fully aware that it's still like, it's like this thing in your conscience that you are not paying attention to, or actually that you think that you moved on from this, but it's actually still there. So let's continue with Jooheon. um he got the Nine of Pentacles, the Queen of Swords, the Ace of Swords, the Three of Swords, the Wheel of Fortune, and the card of the Oracle. It's the card of take off your mask. So, or take your mask off. I don't know how to. It's to remove your mask. And when I say mask, it's, I mean, in the picture you can see that there's a female taking off a mask. But it has a deeper meaning. It's not only like removing a mask. So I think that definitely I can see that he has a lot of air elements in him, because there are a lot of swords here, so there's a lot of communication, a lot of things, a lot of ideas, a lot of like a lot of things that he wants to take control over. So if we start with the Nine of Pentacles, definitely he is finishing this year, because this reading includes December. He's definitely ended this year with a lot of um, connecting with his self-esteem, with him feeling prosperous. I think that probably the comeback had gave the group a lot of good feedbacks, and somehow he feels really honored. He feels like he's finally connecting with the joy of making music. And I think that here with the other cards definitely showing me that his path, his transition, his experiencing of being an idol or being part of a group wasn't always easy. And I think that it has to do also with being part of the creation of some songs, and you feeling rejected as well. Because I don't know what happens with these idols that they do produce their songs. It seems that whenever an idea is rejected, or whenever you think that your idea is going to get approved, and suddenly they are like, oh no, we're not going to use it. So there's a bit like, it's like a punch. It's like a letdown, like you really feel disappointed in yourself, because somehow it's not that they give you the feedback right away. They keep you hoping. They keep you hoping that your creation will be on the album, or it will be used. So I think that there's a lot of expectations, and also a lot of desire, um, and somehow to this being declined, it's a big disappointment, and it's hard not to take it personally. So even though they're always working, and they always have content to do, and they have different activities to do, when you are a creator, you definitely feel like it's definitely an achievement, an individual achievement, that someone takes into consideration your creation that you have done on your own, or probably that you had put a lot of yourself in it. So it definitely affects the way you view yourself, or your talents or your abilities. So here with the king, the queen of swords, and the ace of swords, he definitely is thinking about finishing a few projects. I believe that he already is in the process of delivering these projects. And also, I don't think it's just about writing songs. I think that it has to do with communication. Probably there's something about him like participating in as an MC, or like having his own show where he can express himself, working with his voice, working with communication. He's really good at this. So I don't know if maybe the positive feedback that he got includes his individual activities as an MC or as a presenter. I don't know. There's something about the way he speaks or the way he communicates. He's also very sociable, so this helps a lot. And I think that definitely they are thinking about giving him, or either it's his whole segment, I don't know how to say it, or give him a show, or like give him different scripts for him to have more lines in whatever this activity is. But the only thing I can get from here is that it's about using his voice and about communication. So I feel like this is also an ability that he had mastered with time, because I think that it's not just about being a rapper, I think that it definitely helps. I'm sorry. It definitely helps with the way he communicates, because he's really good at words. But he's also very witty and funny himself. So he does have a lot of, like, he has a lot of talent to expose and to share, because he has a very interesting mind. So I think that it, and also being able to express himself or to relate to others through words or through conversations is actually what makes him feel more like he's connecting with something that comes natural out of him, and also it has to do with validation, and it has to do with self-esteem, because I think that the fact that he is feeling really happy that everyone is reacting positively to his work or the way he manages himself, I don't think it always was like this. I think that him being an idol, I think that there were a lot of times where they made him feel like he didn't belong. Or there's something about his voice, there's something about his speech, that there were people like, they were like, you shouldn't say this, you shouldn't talk like this, So even though he uses his voice and his rapping skills to be an entertainer, there's an aspect of him that he wasn't sure if what he was doing was going to be accepted. There were a lot of restrictions in the middle. There were a lot of criticism as well. This is why the Free of Swords is here. The Free of Swords is here because he's still dealing with some insecurities from the past. He has his moments, he has sort of like ups and downs when it comes to his moods, and also when it comes to his perception of himself. This is why the Wheel of Fortune is always here next to the Free of Swords, because it talks about cycles. When the wheel is turning, one day you are feeling your best, then the other day you are feeling not so good for yourself, then the other day you feel awful, then the other day you start feeling great again. So there's a bit of unbalanced energy in him, and actually it's weird because he he is a Libra, so you know that Libra it's all about balance, and Libra it's ruled by the balance, so I think that and this doesn't have to do with his relationship with others, it has to do with himself. There's a bit of unbalanced emotional and mindset. There's a bit of anxiety, there's a bit of like not having so much confidence. I think that he does have it. He he's going to get it next year as well. Um, I think he's going to be really successful. But what he's showing me here is that he does have a sort of heartache, so I don't know if maybe this heartache is chronically, in the sense that probably he gets sad very often. I don't know. I just don't see him as this melancholic person, but probably, I don't know. He is a Libra, so definitely he could fool me with his very uplifting and funny and attractive persona, because Libra do this. They are ruled by Venus, so there's something very magnetic about them that they just steal the show. But there's something like here that is telling me that this happiness that he portrays is not how he feels inside. So this is why he has these ups and downs and these mood changes. He changes constantly because actually I believe that there's like, and this is something that a lot of Libra goes through, that there's a bit of an unexpressed or repressed is the right word actually. But yes, something that is not expressed, anger. I think he's feeling angry, because, and this happens to a lot of Libras because Libra is always looking for balance, and they always are thinking about themselves with others, so their relationships and communication with others are important. So he wants the others to be okay. He wants the others to feel okay. So sometimes they do put themselves to a side or put what they feel in the moment. They just, like, it's not important what they feel as long as the others are fine. Because Libra is all about thinking about the other's needs and acting accordingly to what the other person needs. This is why sometimes they are called the people's pleaser, because they do have this consideration. They are very polite. They are so considerate with others that it's hard to believe that they cannot be considered with themselves as well. Because it seems like they put all the good vibes, the good person, the good feelings, the good perceptions, everything that the other does, it's amazing. And then what they do when it comes to their person, they are like, oh no, I don't like myself that much. Like, I'm insignificant. I'm nobody. It's like, it seems like everything is, the other person is so much better than themselves. So this is something that he definitely needs to work on. Because there's something, like I mentioned, there's an anger here. There's something about him not being able to express how he really felt in a certain point of their career. And I think that it has to do with career, but at the same time it has to do with his life in general. I think that he's always trying to keep people entertained or keep people like having a good time and energized. So, but he doesn't do the same for himself. He forgets about himself. He forgets about his needs. So there's a bit of resentment towards himself, because he has a lot of emotions. And, there are some times where probably he doesn't want to do things for others, or probably he just wonders, like, oh, how come I'm always the one that makes the effort for someone and then the other person doesn't do the same for me? So I think that there's a bit of resentment and also angry at himself because he's so used to playing this role of putting others first that is hard for him to be like, okay, today I wake up, like I have this awareness and I'm going to put myself first, and so everyone can just uh, expect me to be selfish or something like this, because he doesn't work that way. But I think that it would be healthy for him, since he uses words and communication a lot, to have a sort of like a counselor or someone, a best friend, someone that can be a good listener, someone empathic, someone that doesn't judge him, so he can let out all these things that he had been repressing in the past. Because I think that this follows him. This is what I wanted to actually point out here, because we started really great. We started with the Nine of Pentacles, we started with the Queen of Swords. That I always mention, the Queen is important, because the queen character, the king character, there are people that are already like established on their power, because they are already sitting on the throne, so they do not have the energy of the person that has still to prove themselves. The king and queen energies are people with that had mastered their experience, and that they somehow are the king of the queens of their own lives or their own professions. They are like the ones in power, the rulers. And then we have the Ace of Swords. So we started with very strong and very like dominating energy, about like, oh, I know who I am, I know what I want, like I feel so good about myself, like I can feel like the results of my work, so I'm feeling really happy. And then we have the Three of Swords and the Wheel of Fortune. So this means that no matter how many recognition he can get, he will always have a moment of feeling not so good. So, and I think that this is why I was thinking that if this is something that happens regularly, because the Wheel of Fortune, is like it talks about cycles, and so it's like maybe the next 3 months he's going to feel great, but then next the other 3 months he's going to start feeling like a bit like not so positive. So I don't know if this is something recurrent in him. And then, the card from the oracle is the card of take off your mask. So it's a very strong message, the one that the oracle says, because it talks about you removing your mask so you can show who you really are. And it's talking about authenticity. And here is not to say that he is fake. It's talking more about him being able to connect with how he really feels. What's your truth? What do you really want to say? Forget about the others. How you feel. Who are you? What do you want? What's going on with you? Forget about the others. Because it's more about him that he needs to stop pretending like everything is okay when somehow it's not. So there's like a sort of that he needs to face a truth. This is why there are so many swords here. The swords represent communication, represents words, represents the power of speaking up, and at the same time, it represents the truth. And not, as I always say, nobody owns the truth. But in his case, in Jooheon's case, I think that um, he needs to acknowledge his own truth. It's like, I don't want you to tell me the story of the group. I don't want you to tell me what the others thought about a certain situation. I want you to tell me what's going on with you. What does Jooheon think about this? So it's a sort of confrontation. And I don't know why, but I feel like if I would have to ask him this sort of very personal question, I think that he would just laugh at it. But when you laugh nervously, when you start like laughing because you're nervous, I would almost perceive his energy, or to do it as like like defense mechanism, to laugh or to try to be funny, and this is something that people that have a lot of Mercury energy, a lot of air elements, they do have this, that they're trying to be funny in awkward moments of a lot of intimacy, because if I had to ask him this question, or this is why I think that he definitely needs to talk about his things, his private things and feelings with someone that he can trust, because if this was asked by a stranger, he would, of course, like everyone, he would refuse or he would avoid to answer the question. He would just give you a very general answer, and he will just move on. He will just like laugh it out, like, oh no, it's, but I think he definitely has a lot to say. And I think that this is his strength at the same time. His healing process, because remember that this oracle is called killing yourself. So in order for him to heal what he needs, in these 3 months, if he can achieve it, is to take off his mask. Like, stop pretending. Like, stop pretending like everything is okay when you are not okay. Because it's valid, and it's his experience. And he has the right to sometimes not feeling so great about himself. This is I know that probably he does feel the pressure of being in a industry and in his profession. Sometimes emotions are not that important. Sometimes you just have to look good and show up, and smile for the camera. So he is someone that he's very intelligent. This is why I always remind you this, guys. Whenever I read something very deep for idols, please don't come in the comment section to say that you feel sorry about them or that you feel bad about them. Like, oh, I don't know what to think about this. It's like, think about your own emotions. Like, of course, these guys have existential crises just like we all do. I'm sorry that that's not what you want to hear in a tarot reading, but me as a tarot reader, if I see it, I have to talk on it. I have to see. I have to express it. I'm here. I'm recording, so this is going to come out. So, but what I'm saying here is that I don't understand why people feel sorry for them, because it seems like you are this spectator of someone being emotional, and you're like, oh my God, that's so sad. Just as if you were watching a movie, as if you never experienced this yourself. Like, I don't understand. Like, and this is, like I always mention, this is a 3 months prediction, and it's not that his whole life or the idol's life is going to be surrounded by a lot of like hard moments of struggles and depressing. No, it's about their inner truth, about their inner struggles personally, that probably has nothing to do with them winning tons of awards or not. So that's why I always say that maybe if you feel like too affected by the message that I'm delivering, maybe this is not the channel for you. Maybe you need to go search another tarot reader, because like I always say, I don't waste my time reading for someone's future husband, wife, to tell you what country they're from, the color of their hair, if they're going to be tall, thin. Like, I don't do those things because I do not know. I use the tarot as a tool of awareness. And the idols have awareness as well. They're human, just like all of us. So you should embrace it instead of fearing that an idol is feeling like is having mood changes, like we all do. Like, I don't, sometimes I don't know. Maybe I should post like a disclaimer, whenever you sense that my tarot reading are getting too intense, I'm going to put like a huge sign, so you don't take it personally, so you don't take it like it's an attack, like, oh my God, we have to save him. Nobody saves anyone but ourselves. Like, this is the reality. And I think that these people, since they are artists and they work with art and inspiration, they do have the most inspired ones are the ones that are the most sensitive. So yes, you have to be grateful that they have the ability to feel, and the ability to change, and the ability to experience different things, because they are not machines. They are not machines. So let's celebrate vulnerability. Stop pretending like vulnerability doesn't exist, because we all do. And then, and them especially, after they get off the stage, after the lights are out, after they remove the makeup, they are human beings. So they do have their personal struggles, and they want to prove themselves, and they need the help of others, and they need to have a good friend, and then sometimes they need to be left alone. They have the same um, experiences. I wouldn't say the same experiences, but they have the same basic needs, emotional needs, that we do. So yes, guys, this is all I wanted to say. I'm sorry that I'm ranting so much, but I think that it's sometimes I'm like, I don't know, whenever I start doing an interpretation, sometimes I'm like, maybe I'm reading for the wrong crowd or for the wrong people, or maybe I'm not supposed to be reading about this, because as I get very deep into the matter, people get like, oh, they're so sad. Oh, I don't know what to feel about this. Like, don't, I don't know. So maybe you could tell me what's your opinion about this. So maybe I should change this and actually like do very basic and superficial readings so everyone is happy. I don't know. I will reflect on this myself. So yes, guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye.